Well, hello. Welcome to Life After 3D episode. Because I forgot to look before I came upstairs to record. There wasn't a one last week because a lot of stuff was going on. I simply did not have the time. So let's outline some of the things that's happened in not particularly any order of importance. First thing was that not Sunday gone, but the one before that, Gypsy Dave Smith that I play with on a Sunday and a Monday night. He had a stroke 15 minutes before he was due to leave the house to pick me up. He's currently in hospital. The prognosis is good. He got there in time straight away. In fact, he was on the phone to me while he was having the stroke. So obviously, having had two myself, and his mother used to be a stroke nurse, in Australia back in the day, he knew what to do. So it'll be fine. It'll just, take as much time as it does. I know a lot of people, are very concerned and wanted to pass on the best wishes to Gypsy Dave, which I've been doing whenever I'm on the phone to him. So yeah, that happened, which put a bit of a spanner in the works from the playing point of view. I did put out the music video last week, about a week ago, and see, there's been two different receptions to this. Doing probably one of the first music videos done using AI software. People who are musicians or just normal guy in the street, they had no problem with it. They, looked at the video, listened to the song, either liked it or didn't like it. Great, cool. Artists, however, oh boy, they did not like that. Really did not like it. Some of the messages I've had, it would make your eyeballs bleed, put it that way. No, I did have a bit of a, what I'll call a triggered moment with somebody, that I've known in the industry for many years. And it's more because, I'll tell you the way I see it, right? I'm going to explain what's going on in here, right? And why I sometimes react the way I do. So, obviously, if you're watching this video, you've watched probably them from the start and know the fact that I was forced to give up working professionally as a 3D artist after 27, actually this year would have been 29 years yesterday, but anyway, due to nerve damage in my hands, right? I can still do stuff, but not professionally. I couldn't do, more than about an hour or two now, that's not enough for production. So, when I saw people moaning on about, oh, I'm going to lose my job, my reaction is, yeah, you weren't too fucking worried when it was just me though, were you? Oh yeah, that wasn't everybody. Some people did help. Other people were quite secretly glad that the mouthy Geordie was finally out of the industry. But the trouble is that, to me, it wasn't my decision, if you know what I mean. It was a decision I had to make, but it wasn't made freely. It didn't enable me any time to put things in place for any sort of financial security or anything like that. It still tears the heart out of me, the fact that I cannot work to the same standard and level and for as long as I used to. That will never go away. While things are financially a little bit more stable these days, mainly because I'm the carer for my daughter, certainly not going to be that way for much longer, the way it looks like all the energy bills are going up. It's I've lived through this before, if you know what I mean. Back in the early 80s in my hometown of Consett, when they closed the steelworks for about 15 years, nobody had a bean, right? I remember I was talking to some old people that are friends of mine a couple of nights ago. And I said, well, the thing is, a lot of these young people don't remember what it was like the days before central heating, when you would wake up in the winter and have half an inch of ice on the inside of your bedroom window. That how there was only ever one warm room in the house, and that was it. The rest was like a fridge in the winter. So they don't really understand what real proper being cold is. Having been homeless and also living in a house that, it was the heating, because the water used to run under the house, you couldn't heat it. So I spent an entire winter with no heating, and that was not fun. So yes, it's things are a little bit more stable, but still not really any way forward. I've just been going through the marking for the final part of the university course. That's over now. There's a couple of little bits and pieces beyond the marking to do. Not that that's stuff you don't get paid for. That's everybody that does this. You don't get paid when you're teaching for the marking stuff, right? That's not specific for this particular job. My hands look really big if I do that, don't I? That'll make a really good thumbnail. We're going to do it. I'm going to do that. Right. I'm a bugger for doing that, aren't I? Getting sidetracked. But, so I don't know if I'm going to get any more hours or not. The current environment, looking that more and more things are getting taken over by AIs. I was experimenting with the one earlier on today that can create song lyrics, albeit very bad ones. There's another, I know they're working on AIs for music. I tried one out earlier on the week, and you could generate a song in the style of the Beatles, right? Using the first bar from the Harry Potter theme tune, because you had to give it something to work from on a MIDI basis, right? As if Chopin was on piano. And it was music, and it sounded pretty decent. It's still a long, long way to go. I think, I was talking to Zab Anderson about this. I do think music will be a lot harder to replicate believably than images or video, because the human ear is a lot more finely tuned. But I do foresee the day when you will be able to say to your computer or your phone or whatever, right, I want you to generate me an album from about 1967 featuring the Beatles, only with Keith Moon on drums and Jimi Hendrix on lead guitar. And it'll be done by the time you've had a cup of coffee. Now, this opens up a massive problem with protecting intellectual property. Because although you can make it against the law and try and, rein these things in, once the technology's appeared, it'll appear before the law does, which means somebody's going to have a copy. And then you'll have not just bootleg albums, you'll have bootleg albums that, that bands would have made or could have believably made that haven't existed. You could put Batman and Spider-Man in the same movie, and that movie could be a Lord of the Rings movie. And, there's that much where you'd be breaking intellectual property laws and trademarks. This is a bloody nightmare. We're walking straight into a nightmare here. I do believe, I know I get shot down for this, that AI is a very good tool, right? Now, it's even better when it's guided properly. I know a lot of people think you just saying, make me a landscape with some trees and a river running through it. No, that means you're getting random shit that it thinks. You've got to phrase your prompts in a certain way. I equated it to somebody last week. It's the difference between a dirty limerick and poetry, the likes of Tennyson, right? They're both rhyming, but one's a lot better than the other, right? That's basically what you do. And sometimes I've noticed that, actually it was the wife that noticed, that it treats what you would assume to be a noun as an adjective. That's a little important tip for you all. It's a tool. And as my hands are somewhat limited what I can do without making them any worse, it's great for me because I can still do some sort of art. Or is it the case that you'd much rather that people like me weren't able to make any art whatsoever? Hell of a question, isn't it? It's like, at the moment, I'm going through quite a hard time. Because being an artist and a musician has always been a major part of my identity. Now, I'm under no illusions that you all love my music. Most of you will actively go out your way to avoid it because you like the stuff you like in that little box on your Spotify playlist. That's fine, great, But taking away half of who I am, arguably the portion that I've made the most money at and I was better at and had a big name for, that's not something that I basically don't know who the hell I am anymore. Am I just a talking head with a blue beard? Am I just one of those, tragic cases of 3D of a person who managed to, get all fucked up, with the hands, and it's totally, absolutely not the software or the industry's fault at all. That's fucking bollocks, and you know it. As I've said before, I do think at some point it's going to become such an inherent problem that there's somebody's going to start a class acting lawsuit. It's going to happen. And, to the software companies and, VFX house and games house, don't say you weren't warned. Because it won't come from me. I ain't got the money for stuff like that, right? But it'll come from somebody else. Now, on the music front, because you're going to see a lot more of that, because one of the few things I can still fucking do. The next album is about 80% done. I've got the right amount of songs. There's about well over half of them are now locked in position. Is it the one that I put out? Stone on My Shoe, blues tune. The mix on that might change very slightly, but nothing major is going to happen to that really. I do have a plan once this album's done, because there's going to be more songs than I need for the album, which is good, because I think it's rubbish, can't get chuck out. I do want to do when I've got some really nice arrangements of, cover versions of other people's songs that I'd like to do, like an EP or something of that. And to be honest, that's a lot easier. And it's easy to get those down and release it quite fast. And it's nice to show people what I can actually do. You know what I mean? I've spent a lot of time on this album, and it's something that I hope people will listen to. Because if you were listening to it with an open mind, I think it's as good as anything else people see out there. I honestly do. In fact, I've only been messing around with another idea for a music video based on AI. I was testing it. It was a bit ropey, so I probably won't go that route. It's just I'm trying to stop having to film stuff using this camera and try and make a music video of it any more than I have to, because it's a major pain in the bloody arse. There's one particular song where I had a brilliant idea of going down some woodlands not that far from here and just, go through the song a couple of times, because it's basically an acoustic song, very little to it apart from vocals and guitar, and just have me sitting in front of a campfire or something, with a few nice shots and stuff like this. But getting this gear, all this, right, and instruments in the middle of that bloody woodland when there's like collapsed mine workings like this, that would be a pain in the arse, especially with my gout, which is starting to flare up quite heavily. And I'm in quite a lot of pain at the moment, so I'm going to get going before I fall over. I'd like a moment of silence for my wallet, because I've just been down the metro centre buying my daughter clothes before she goes to school tomorrow. Thank you. Right, I'll see you all next time. We'll see what happens between now and then, right? Bye-bye.